He's done me over this week. He's not done it. He's not done it. I've been waiting. I knew it was gonna happen one day. I didn't expect it this week. Hello everyone. Welcome back to Tyler's podcast. Of course, joined with John and Owen. Basically the regulars at this point, now, because we do 3 podcasts a month at the minute, and you guys are at least in 2 of them. So you basically the regulars at this point, basically, But yeah, this week we're reviewing Time and the Mark for the Rani. Confusion. We're reviewing Mark of the Rani, the Colin Baker story. But before that, obviously lots to discuss. But first of all, how are we doing, guys? Are we well? Are we the winter months are coming, October's kind of here. How are we feeling?
I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends, but trying to keep myself together.
Oh, mate, you got a nice haircut there. You're looking very sharp today. Got new earphones. I think you're doing a decent job.
Yeah. Oh, and Edie's just popped into this.
Of course. She just loves the camera. That's what it is. She just loves the camera. That's what it is.
She does, isn't it? Thank you.
No. You just had dinner. We're not having that on the first minute of the podcast. John, how are you doing, mate? Football's back this weekend, at least.
I'm very good, thank you. I'm looking forward to going to watch the Underwater Menace animation on Saturday at the British Film Institute, which I'm sure will be great fun. If you see us there, come and say hello or don't, depending entirely on whether I think you're a nice person or not. He says, bearing in mind we're still in the first couple of minutes of the recording.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing all right, mate. I'm looking forward to the drop of Marvel Spider-Man 2 at midnight tonight.
Lucky bastard.
Oh, actually, I deliberately didn't swear, and then Kingdom has dropped one.
Yeah, no.
In the first couple of minutes, and
I've let myself down.
You anywhere.
Let myself down. Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait another month for Spider-Man 2. So I'm that's one that I'm actively avoiding the spoilies on. I hope it's as good as the first. Some people said it's better. It can't get much better because the first game was near perfection.
I mean, the first game was good, but bearing in mind this is obviously going to be using the full capabilities of the PlayStation 5.
Yep.
And I think it's also worth pointing out that some of the side although the first game was very good, some of the side missions were a bit repetitive.
Yeah.
So I think if that's something that they've resolved in this, then I'm very much looking forward to it.
Whereas Owen doesn't know what a video game is. He's like, "What is this?"
I mean, I'm sure Owen knows what a video game is, don't you?
Yeah, play Fortnite with some of you lot.
They had Pong in your later years,
Yeah, Pong and then eventually Pac-Man and Space Invaders.
He's quite good on the Fortnites.
Frogger.
Yeah.
I haven't played Fortnite.
Yeah, have we encountered anything Doctor Who on the Fortnite yet?
No, apparently there is some Gallifreyan text somewhere. We haven't. I mean, I'm at the moment I'm just doing all their sort of spooky Halloween stuff. So for season 4, chapter 4, for season 4, chapter 4, I'm currently on like level 110 or something. So I've unlocked a stack of stuff, and I'm running around as some kind of hell demon at the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm still at level 40 or 50 something. I keep meaning to jump on there and do some more stuff, but it's just sort of like so much going on at the moment. It's just trying to find time.
Well, I strongly recommend getting hold of the Woodstake shotgun next time you're playing, because they are absolutely lethal.
Well, as I've just been playing FIFA, to be honest. So,
can you still get Ahsoka's lightsaber?
No, they've kind of replaced it with like a vampire slaying sword.
Okay, well, I'll just have to, try the new weapons.
So I like how Kingdom's just sort of sat there in this, like, I cannot contribute anything to this conversation.
Not at all. I haven't played Fortnite in years. Don't intend to. It's just not a game for me, to be honest. I'm not really. You probably
wouldn't massively appreciate the Team Fortnite games that we have, because there's a little catchphrase that we use when somebody when somebody's like paralyzed and needs to be recovered.
The Kingdom,
Yeah.
No, I've been obviously. If you listened to 2 weeks ago's show, John was boasting about his ultimate team, so I've been working on that. Trying to build the team up a little bit. And John, I have to say, last week in Div Rivals, I got an upgrade pack. I've got a pack for rewards. And who did I pack? Inform Raheem Sterling, 100k coins on the market, rebuilt my entire team. And I think I'm ready to take you down at some point. I'm feeling confident. I've got a good team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the last time we spoke about this was a couple of weeks ago. In the players that I unpacked for my sort of weekly rewards this week was I think he was like an Algerian guy or something. I don't know what type of card it was, but he was bright orange. I sold him for about 400k. So now when you play me, I've got Bobby Moore centre back.
Okay, no, I'm good actually. Nice. Give me another few weeks.
And I've got Pavel Nedved.
Give me another few weeks
in left midfield. My front two at the moment are Kane and Lewandowski.
So you can actually get sort of like legends footballers on this.
I say at the moment because they're both 90, and literally the last thing that I did when I undid like my daily rewards last night was open a pack, and I got a 91 Haaland.
You know what? No, I'm good. I'm actually, you know what? Scrap that, mate.
No, I mean, if the Time of Podcast listeners would like to respond, I mean, we didn't get much feedback on Mark of the Rani this week, but if they would like to respond and let me know whether they think I should go Kane and Haaland or Lewandowski and Haaland.
Lewandowski.
Well, Kane and Lewandowski are both 90. So I think it might just come down to what's in the rest of the team and how it affects the chemistry points.
Right. Well, my day is ruined. I was excited to come on here and discuss. You may have your Kane and Lewandowski, but do you have Ludmina running down the wing? No, you don't, sir.
No, I've got Pavel Nedved and Beth Mead.
Yeah, exactly. But I've got Ludmina, mate. So do one.
I mean, my midfield is so good that I've got Megan Rapinoe on the bench.
Yeah, I've got Stanway and Toon on the bench now. I benched them.
Right. Pretty good game. I've got centre mids are.
I've got Jeremy Doku in form. That's probably my best card.
Bernardo Silva and Luka Modric.
Oh, piss off, John. All right, we get it.
Defensively, I'm not so hot.
If you got in goal,
with the exception of Bobby Moore and Courtois in goal.
Oh, yeah, I'm not hot. I've just got one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and I've also got one of the best centre backs to grace English football. But I'm not doing too great. Whatever.
Why are you making me sound like a moody teenager?
I don't know. It's just my go-to impression of anyone.
I mean that's basically sounds like me doing an impression of you. Essentially, what you've just done there is you doing an impression of me doing an impression of you.
Yeah.
All you needed to do at the end was throw the brew, and you'd be like,
no, mate, I'm not happy. Right, well, we got some.
I'm not happy.
This is fuck off.
I'm swearing tonight.
Yeah, mate. I'm Christ. All right. Well, we got a lot of news to discuss. It seems like the world's opened up since our last podcast. So I'm going to ask.
I mean,
should we start
quite literally, but let's not get into that.
Should we start with the good news, or shall we start with the bad news?
Let's start with good news.
Let's start with good news.
Yeah.
So, for you impatient little bastards on Twitter, we have stuff coming out in November. Finally,
we started on Twitter now.
Screw it. Everyone knows if they listen to this, it's all in fun and games. If you don't, then I'm sorry. We have stuff coming out. They've announced that on the 1st of November, you can sit down and listen to the lovely David Tennant as he discusses the classic series on BBC 4. I believe that's from 7:30. Then after that, they have a recording of the Cardiff Symphonic Spectacular type thing they did a few weeks ago that you can watch as well. So there you go. The beginning of their plans are out.
Yeah, all on BBC 4. I mean, if you wanted to listen to the 60th anniversary spectacular now, you can do that on BBC Sounds.
Yeah.
it's well worth a listen. I gave it a listen last Friday because it dropped on Thursday night, so I gave it a listen last Friday. It's a lovely little celebration of, not just the music of New Who. There's a nice little suite from classic in there as well. There's some representation sort of across the board. And actually they do some nice little interviews with Murray Gold and Sega and Akinola and, RTD, Moff and Chibs and Mark Ayres, etc. And it's really nice just to hear him talking about like the music of the show. I really recommend giving it a listen, and it might be worth listening rather than watching on 4, because I think they've edited the TV broadcast down to 90 minutes from like 120, so they might skip the interviews.
Yeah, do you know what? This is me being legit. I don't ever have Murray Gold speak.
Okay.
At all.
I won't do an impression.
But yeah, so there you go. Everyone knows.
He doesn't maybe sound as you'd expect him to. Sagan sounds very much as you'd expect him to. He's got this very sort of big London sort of accented voice. But yeah, Murray doesn't really sound as you'd expect him to, maybe.
Interesting. And of course, there you go. We've got stuff. The 6th anniversary is getting underway on BBC4, 7:30. Everyone can breathe. That it's happening. And also, since we last spoke, it was announced that a lot of Doctor Who is going on to iPlayer.
I mean, this is the thing. People may not actually have a lot of free time on the 1st of November.
Nope.
Because 95% of like the available classic Who, he says, precursing the bad news, not 95%, well, more than 95, maybe like 99% of the available classic Who will be put onto iPlayer for the first time with audio description and proper subtitling.
And also sign language as well.
I was coming on to that. There was no need to talk across me.
Oh, sorry.
Accessibility.
How they're doing that.
Accessibility is my bit, Back off in your lane. When we get to the war, you can.
Yeah, don't mention the war.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's the wrong program.
And indeed sign language, I believe. So there's some wonderful things. Obviously, this is brilliant for a lot of people that just regular people that haven't had access to classic Who in a big way because they've not been able to pay for a streaming service. They've not been able to buy the sort of DVDs or Blu-rays as they've come out. It's now going to be there in 2 weeks' time. It's all going to be there pretty much for free for anyone to watch, with some wonderful accessibility options for people with sensory disabilities. It kind of I think it took a lot of people by surprise. It came a bit out of the blue. Some of us had a bit of an idea that something like this might be happening.
Yeah.
But it came a bit out of the blue. It's a wonderful achievement. There's obviously a lot of work that's gone into designing this and particularly making it accessible. Hours and hours of work have gone into that, and it's a wonderful achievement. And something that I think a lot of people are going to really want to see. I mean, in addition to that, they're also talking about Sarah Jane Adventures, Torchwood Class, etc., and Confidential, all going onto there.
What about K9 and Company?
Questions? Oh.
The fuck cares? The fuck cares? Nobody cares.
K9 and Company.
I forgot it. I forgot it after I watched it.
Is there K9 and Company included on the list for the podcast?
I mean, I've literally got it on DVD and on collection box set. I don't need it on iPlayer as well.
No, K9 and Company's not up for review in the podcast. No. But yeah, John, as you were saying, I think it's an incredible feat. I think, like you said, I think everyone had an inkling that one day this would happen. One day, but maybe not as soon as before the specials have came out. I think it's incredible. Like you said, the accessibility point is the big point for me. All the external effort. It's not even just being a disabled person. It's more just shows all the external effort. Like, they haven't just gone to the lengths of lumping it on iPlayer. They've done it in a sense where they've made it so that it's not only got an iPlayer, it's got an iPlayer so that everybody can access it even more than they could on the subscription services. They've put extra effort in, which they didn't realistically need to do from the off. They should do. I'm saying that they should do, but it's not something that you typically would see. So I'm saying that it's even more of an incredible feat that they've waited till they've done this and then they put it up, because sometimes they put the content up and they go, in 2 months you'll get the audio description or whatever. Or you'd get the the BSO.
I do think it's a sign of how the world's changing.
Yeah.
There was a thing recently, a few months ago, there was a thing where there's a draft bill that will require streaming services, etc., in the UK to make everything audio described and subtitled, etc. So the wind is certainly changing that way. We're now living in a world where we have live audio description every week on Strictly. So literally somebody sitting there audio describing it live, which is the first time I've ever come across that.
I would be so shit at that job. I'd just put it out there now. I'd be so shit at that job. I'd be like, they've done a twirl. They've done another twirl. Yay.
It's not far off that. It's not a kind of, because bear in mind, the people that are relying on audio description, they don't know what a fleckle or a plie or the rest of all this is. So actually they need it in layman's terms. They need somebody to just describe actually how a non-professional would see these things. And it's really, it's really fascinating. I recommend just giving it a listen. It's quite a giggle as well, it's just good fun.
Yeah, unfortunately, I will never watch Strictly. I don't, no disrespect to the presenters, but I can't. It's the comedy they write for them that just grates on me every time. It's just not very funny. They tried their best, bless them.
I mean, it'd probably help a bit if Tess Daly wasn't dead behind the eyes, wouldn't it?
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's the delivery of it as well. Yeah, I just can't watch it, but I mean, it is good telly. But yeah, guys. But what I think we should do now is we should do the bad news, and then we'll end with a little thing that we prepared for Doctor Who Classic going on iPlayer. I think let's go bad news, and let's go back to a bit of positivity, and we can do it that way. I think that's the best way, personally, going forward. I'm going to quickly tell this story from my perspective because I was a bit out the loop. So basically, last weekend I was in Cardiff. I was staying with a mate who had no Wi-Fi and he had barely any signal in his house. So I was basically off the social media grid for the weekend, to be honest. And I get a text from a listener of the show and friend of mine, Arshan. He goes, "An Earthly Child's being removed from the iPlayer release." I'm thinking he's taken the mick or he's read a tweet that's wrong or something. And so I don't think much of it. I think he's just read something somewhere. And then I go on Twitter with like the one bar of 4G there and I see people kick it off. And unfortunately, I'll let somebody else describe in better terms than I will probably say something wrong. However, what has happened and the person who has made it happen certainly is not handling it the correct way on social media in any way, shape, or form. And there's also a bit of a cunt. Just putting out there now, a bit of a knob, really.
Who knew Alex Kingdom would have been the first to mention the
C word? I think that's rare. I think it's rare that I'm the one that
it's
drops
very rare
first.
For you.
But yeah, there's a reason it's rare, isn't there? The reason it's rare is that normally when it's said on this podcast, it's somebody calling you it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so the bad news is An Earthly Child will not be on iPlayer, which is a shame. Or I suppose the 4-part serial An Earthly Child, not just the first part, which is called An Earthly Child, is a damning shame.
This is a legal thing. It basically comes down to the intellectual property rights. Essentially, Anthony Coburn, who wrote to some degree An Unearthly Child. There are debates over how much it was rewritten and who contributed what, but it's in his name. Owns the intellectual property rights to the story, bequeathed them to his son upon his death, and the son is not on very good terms with the BBC, quite clearly. And so when it came to new rights for iPlayer, he has refused their offer, which I'm not going to say the figure because I don't know how correct it is, but it's the figure that's being bandied around Twitter was not unreasonable. And basically he's just not going to play with them. He's not handled it very well on social media. People across the board maybe haven't handled the situation very well. A lot of people seem to be inferring that the guy is mentally ill. There's no indication of that. He just seems to be a bit of a twat.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, when I see someone that's being a bit of a twat, and then you see half the world going, "Oh, they're clearly mentally ill," I don't really appreciate that, because I think that's quite unfair on people that actually are mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
And aren't twats. So yeah, essentially, it's not at the moment going to be in there. It's a shame, because obviously it's a key part of the story. It's an important, as the first story, it's an important one. It's a great shame that that's not going to be produced in an accessible way. People say, "Oh, you can still watch it on DVD or on VHS or whatever." And it's like, well, that's not the fucking point, actually, because that's not got subtitles or proper subtitles or audio description.
Yeah, and also like you said as well, it's the money thing.
It's a shame, but we are where we are. And I think I could probably name you about 70 stories in Classic Who that I would be more upset if it was that story that wasn't going on to iPlayer.
Massively.
Like, including the entire Pertwee era.
Yeah, massively. I mean, look, obviously, I'm just going to give my 2 cents on the social media thing. I think as a collective, as this is going to sound really wanky, but the point is that as a generation, I think we are way too quick to throw labels at things that don't fit. Yeah. Like you were saying, John, with the mentally ill thing or this, or even just starting arguments with people that you're not going to win. Like, I've seen people go at this guy, and you can tell, unfortunately, he revels in that. It's kind of what he wants. You can see that he loves the interaction. It makes him get bigger. This guy's never had more interactions in his life in the past week. And from my perspective, you can see that he kind of enjoys that. So,
there is also a bit of a satisfaction for somebody to just be able to call him a cunt, isn't it?
Yeah. But like, if listeners of the show, I know that you guys are all incredible and you're all up to date with what you should and we should be saying, especially around accessibility. Me and John have been on the show so many times talking about it. But yeah, just don't go around throwing terms that you don't really understand the meaning of, because it can really hurt somebody. And I'm not somebody who has a mental illness per se, but I have friends that do, and I know that terms like that are thrown around without any basis, it can be upsetting, and it's not the right way to go. Now, of course, there are many words on the show that me and John use that you are more than welcome to throw at people you don't like. Hey, we can't tell you what to say, but just don't use terms that you don't really know the consequences of using them and what those terms mean. Because
I just had no idea there were so many qualified psychiatrists within the Doctor Who fandom on Twitter.
Yeah. Like somebody can be an absolute arse without having a mental illness. Those two things don't go together. And not everybody with a mental illness is an arse, So you can't lump those two things together. It's not okay. It's not right. And realistically, it's not helpful for those people with a mental illness. Because to be honest, a lot of people that I know have mental illnesses are much better and nicer than that cunt. So, don't lump them together.
There's a very well-known scene, which I doubt you've seen, because I know you've only seen some episodes, Alex. There's a very well-known scene in the Simpsons, in the episode Bart Gets an Elephant, where at the end they are donating Bart's elephant to the elephant sanctuary, and the elephant's running around sort of butting heads with all the other elephants and stuff. And Marge goes, "Why is he doing that?" And the elephant warden basically says, "Well, he says it's hard to explain. He says, some people just have a genetic discompensity towards these things. Some people, it's part of their nature, or it can be an illness." and some people are just jerks.
Yep. And that's I think that's how you describe this person.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to make it a bit better and to kind of give you guys, because I know that some people are, I know the majority of listeners are new series fans, which is absolutely fine. But we have decided to kind of band together. I'm going to give you a quick shortlist of some episodes to get you started on iPlayer. These might not be the most important to the overall story, but these are the good ones, you know. So, you know, we've all got a couple doctors each. Owen might forget which doctors he's meant to do. Give you a clue. It's 1 and 6. So
I fucking know.
okay, he remembers that. He doesn't remember when we're meant to be filming, but he remembers that. That's the main thing.
You know,
At least he's got that.
At least I remembered it wasn't Timon the Rani.
Oh, shots fired. Guys, let's not start on each other, yeah? Jeez, that's not, you know, come on. That's not what it's about. So I guess considering you do have Mr. Hartnell, would you like to go first, Owen? Just give a couple of stories maybe that people should be watching.
That's somebody that was around for the Hartnell era, you know.
Yeah. Again, he knows what doctors, but you can tell he's not prepared episodes because he's not thinking about it.
I think one that we recently watched, which came out on a box set recently, The Time Meddler.
Very good.
Lots of great fun, starring the amazing Peter Butterworth, who plays the meddling monk, also known from Carry On films. And it's just a really good story.
What?
And that's it, guys. It's the only good William Hartnell story. That's the only one you need to watch.
No. I mean, there's lots out there. I mean, I will say that, you know, at times you might find stories can be a bit slow.
The Aztec is very good. The Aztecs.
I kind of like the Aztecs. There's just one character in that really irritates me, and I can't actually pronounce the name, so I just call it Axolotl.
Is it Clatoxel?
That's the one. Yes. I end up naming him after a water lizard of some kind.
Yes. So second Doctor stories. There is a couple stalwarts in this era, as there are every Doctor era. I'd say Tomb of the Cybermen's always the one you go to because it's kind of got the most iconic scenes. It's got some really good characters. Probably got like one of the best cliffhangers in classic Who. That's a good one. You've got the War Games, obviously. I'm trying to think of ones we haven't reviewed because I think, you know, you guys will know if we recommended those stories because you know the quality of them. So as well, do you know what? This is an outside shout for me, but I really do like the Moon Base. I know people don't dislike it, but I'm actually a really big fan of that one. I quite like that one. And why can't I think of the title of this one, which is the one in Land of Fiction? Why am I getting my
Mind Robber?
That's the one. Yeah, those are by Patrick Troughton stories you've watched. They're all really good. We'd also recommend the War Games, but it's 10 parts long. So maybe you don't want to start with that. Maybe get the feel for Classic Who first and come back.
The first time I watched The Mind Robber was when they were broadcasting it on the Horror Channel. And they did some amazing sort of like advertising because like it was everywhere and on adverts and you know, on TV, on sides of buses. There was so much promotion for it. It was brilliant.
Well, I'm not surprised considering you were around at the time.
That's where I first discovered the story. And I absolutely love it.
See, I'm going to disagree with Kingdom here. Kids, start with the War Games. It's the first time you ever see Gallifrey. It's 10 episodes long. It's got corridors. It's got soldiers. It's got Patrick Truman out of EastEnders in it. It is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, go on, do it. Make me laugh. Start with a 4-hour, 10-episode epic.
You've heard John. Well, I wonder which Doctor one of John's is. I'll just let everyone have a quick 5-second guess. You know, if you know John very well, this should be very easy. Of course, it's Colin Baker. Take it away. No, I'm joking. Yeah, John's going to give you some John Pertwee episodes. And John, you can't say all of them.
I mean, even if you don't know me well at all, you're pretty much going to know that I was going to do this. See, I was a little bit I was a little bit worried because I was going to go for 3, but given Kingdom's just named like 5 stories, I don't feel so I don't feel so bad now going for 3 for each of my Doctors. For me, I mean, as a general point, now that you're not able to jump in an unearthly child, the other fantastic jumping in point for Classic Who, if you want to watch it consecutively, is Spearhead from Space. But so if you wanted to just go from the start, go wallop, that's a great point of jumping in. But that's not actually my ones I was going to choose. I was just saying, start from that point. The 3 stories I would choose, I would say Inferno is absolutely top tier. It's one of the rare occasions where it's quite rare for a time travel show. Doctor Who actually does a parallel universe, and it does it exceptionally well. I would also say, let's go for a Doctor and Joe one. I know we've spoken about Mind of Evil on this podcast before, so I won't suggest that because you all know how much I love that. As weird as it sounds, as it's effectively the end of an era, I'm going to say The Green Death because it is my favourite Who story of all time, and I would strongly recommend watching it on iPlayer. Maybe now that it's on iPlayer, Alex will actually watch it.
Which it's right there.
He promised me he would do 18 months ago.
It's right there.
Yeah, he promised me he would do 18 months ago. One day it's actually going to come out of your random thing, and you're going to watch it, and you're going to realise that'll be great, because that can be a special bumper to our podcast where I just tell everybody how brilliant The Green Death is and why.
Yeah.
And my third choice for Pertwee, again, it's one that we've covered before on the podcast. I wasn't actually hosting that podcast, but I did leave a drunken review of it. It's Invasion of the Dinosaurs, which is just
very good. It's very good. I don't get the hate.
Neither do I.
And it's very rare.
When we did the poll last year, some cunt gave it a 4.
Yeah, I can tell you. Hang on.
It was Marshall or Grayling, and one of the two.
Give me right, you keep talking because you got the Doctor, and I'll keep.
I mean, if you rated Invasion of the Dinosaurs so poorly, you're not just wrong. You're stupid.
I mean, I can understand somebody maybe giving it a 7, but a 4.
Yeah.
I
mean, who doesn't love dinosaurs, for fuck's sake?
Even crappy looking ones, and it's like, oh, they look rubbish. Like everything in the 70s looked rubbish.
I still stick to part 1 of that is potentially one of the best parts in Doctor Who.
It is. It's one of the best Who openers you'll ever see. And the cliffhanger at the end of part 3 is a genuinely what the fuck moment.
Right.
Right.
Elijah gave it a 5, and that's the lowest.
Okay, what did Marshall give it?
6.
Okay, yeah. He sort of marked it down a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So those would be my 3 picks for Pertwee, Inferno, The Green Death, and Invasion of the Dinosaurs. I'm also doing Tom Baker. And for Tom, obviously you've got 7 years worth of Who there, so what I tried to do is kind of span the era a little bit and do sort of one from the start, one from the middle, and one from the end. From the start of Tom's era, it was a toss-up between this and Ark in Space. I'm going to go Pyramids of Mars. Absolute, it's absolute classic.
Top.
It is an absolute classic, and it looks sumptuous. The whole story's brilliant. You've got Egyptian gods, you've got mummies, you've got possession. You've got this pyramid on Mars with all these wonderful little mind traps in it at the end. You've got Liz Sladen running around in a Victorian dress.
Adam's favourite.
It's just brilliant. You've got a poacher being crushed to death by 2 sets of mummy breasts.
Yeah, it's Adam and Moon's favourite story. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean it's wonderful. From the middle, the sort of Graham Williams type here, and it's not actually Williams, it's Hinchcliffe. I'm going to say Robots of Death. Essentially, I mean, we've done a podcast on this before, so go back and listen to it to find out exactly what we think about it. Essentially, it's Doctor Who does Agatha Christie, and it's absolutely fantastic for that. The costumes are brilliant. The whole story's just glorious. It's an absolute 10 out of 10 banger, and it's one of those stories where, people recommend you certain classic stories and say, "Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's a classic," and sometimes they let you down. Robots of Death is fully deserving of its reputation. It's wonderful.
Yep.
And finally, I'm going to say City of Death.
Yeah.
From sort of the late years, it's one that always comes towards the top of the polls because it's largely perfect. It's not typical of Tom's sort of later era, which I think is possibly to its benefit. But it's just this wonderful Douglas Adams script with all of these slightly crazy things going on in Paris. And the chemistry between Tom and Lalla Ward before they hated each other, it's just great.
Yeah, no, I've got. I'm also giving you 3 Doctor stories. I'm going to exclude the 5 Doctors because I think even if you're not a Doctor Who fan or like a classic fan, you already know how good that is. I think everyone waxes lyrical about it. So I'll give you. You guys might disagree with one of these in there, but Visitation is the first one I'd say from his first season. I think it's great fun, really good. I know Earthshock's in there, but I prefer Visitation, even though.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Earthshock doesn't have Arthur from On the Bus, isn't it?
No, it doesn't. Also, it doesn't have the plague.
You'll be quite neat.
Yeah. The next story, this one's very going to disagree with me. It's Frontios. I really like Frontios. Don't ask me why. It's a fun one.
Nobody can slag off Frontios in here. It's great.
I love Frontios. I watched it on. Owen was talking about the horror channel. That's where I first watched Frontios. I love it. It's great fun. And the last one, you guys probably had this one as well. Caves under Rani is potentially, I'm going to say potentially because it's one of the best. It could potentially be the best in Doctor Who. It's one of those where it's in the mix for that kind of. It's genuinely one of the best stories ever written. It's fantastic.
It quite regularly tops the polls, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it nearly topped our one. I think it came what?
I think it came joint second. It was definitely joint.
It was up there. It was up there with. It was in the top 10 when it maybe the top 5. I think the 5 Doctors might have just pipped it as like the top Davison story.
Yeah, so technically,
I think didn't Connor mark it down? Connor gave it a 7.
Connor gave it 6,
cool.
Which is ridiculous.
I mean, that's how tight those polls were.
And apart from that, Elijah gave it a 9. Everyone else gave it 10s. So
yeah, that's how tight that poll was. That a single voter giving something a 6 knocks it down the league.
Yeah. Now it's back to you, Mr. Luckhurst.
Right. So 3 Colin Baker stories.
Here's the
we haven't really got many Colin stories to choose from.
11, I think.
No, it's just 8, isn't it?
Well, if you count Trial as one.
We're not going to get into a debate of whether you count Trial of a Time Lord as 1 story or 4, are we?
No, that's where I was going with 11. But...
I mean, if you look at production codes, it is essentially 4 stories. If you're answering questions on the Quiz of Rassilon, it's 1.
Oh right, hang on. Right, okay. So season 22 is 6 stories, which
in 21 he's got 1, and then there's 4 for Trial of a Time Lord.
4 stories. Right, okay. So
he's got the box set out. He's like,
I mean, to be fair, there wasn't much point mentioning season 21 because I doubt Owen's going to be recommending the Twin Dilemma here.
No.
Disappointed, by the way, Alex, to hear that your mate Peter Grimwade didn't get a mention in the Peter Davison recommendations.
No, and I'm sorry to my good friend Peter Grimwade, who I'm a big fan of his work.
The first one I'll go for. I mean, I'll go for 2 for season 22 and 1 for season 23. And some say it's a classic, as Colin Baker once says himself, is Vengeance on Varos.
Yes.
It's
yes.
I think it's hugely popular with a lot of people. It's great storytelling and basically television for people who I don't know, what would you say, they're sort of like
It's
sick-minded
reality
people,
TV. It's
just sort of like
reality TV before reality
really
TV was a
bad
thing.
reality TV. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're quite happy to
It's
watch
like
people
the
being
Hunger
tortured
Games,
and
if you know what that is, Owen. It's kind of similar to the Hunger
yeah,
Games in a sense, if you have
yeah,
any idea what that is.
yeah. It's like Big Brother, but people, just being tortured,
Yeah.
and probably to death, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, and then two doctors, I would say.
Yes, that would be the other one I would choose.
Yeah, so we've got the
It's
Sixth
long
Doctor,
though.
and we've got the Second Doctor as well, with Jamie, reprising his role as
Jamie reprising his role as
phrase,
Fraser Hines.
yes, and running around with Sontarans and yeah, so it's great fun, and it's all running around in Spain.
Yep.
And then season 23, I think one of my favourites from that
Into the voids.
it would be Terror of the Voivodes. Yeah,
I wonder why, Owen.
it's just again really good story. And
Aren't
if you've
you?
ever
I mean,
watched the
it's got on a Blackman. What more can you want?
well, yeah, exactly. I find that the studio, what do you call them? Where you see all the behind the scenes and everything, and all the outtakes and
The
stuff like that.
crew, the behind the scenes,
Yeah, where obviously you get all the outtakes and
the
the
blooper
in-betweens,
reel.
kind of.
It's
Um, it's all sort of like the studio.
The studio
So
footage.
yeah. So all the studio footage, and there are lots of funny moments in there as well. And you get a really potty mouthed Honor Blackman, and some banter between her and Colin Baker, which is really funny.
I don't care what you say, Alex. Kingdom's a cant.
Now the Seventh Doctor, one of my favourites actually.
That on a Blackman impression probably just woken Rhys Jenkins up.
Yeah. Seventh Doctor. I kind of want to go with 4, but one of them's kind of a jokey one, but I love it, so I'll leave that one for the end. But the two of them are easy. One of them is Remembrance of the Daleks, potentially the best Dalek story ever written. Facts. Curse of Fenric, banger.
I think Planet of the Daleks wants a word.
No, it doesn't. It's not even in the same league, mate. Sorry. Then you got Curse of Fenric, top tier, good stuff there. Then obviously my third one would be Greatest Show in the Galaxy. It's one of those that I think when everyone watching it, they go, it's really good. But I don't know if it's ever in people's like top 3 when it comes to Syl. Another one that's in my top 3, but isn't potentially good, is Down and the Bannerman. I watched it in lockdown. Very fun. I quite enjoy it. I know it's a bit crap, but I had a good time.
In Wales,
Just
England.
like Ken Dodd.
In Wales, England. Yes. And then for Paul McGann, what's a TV movie? Because unfortunately, it's all you've got on iPlayer. It's certainly a movie.
I mean, that said, you do have a number of Paul audios for free on Spotify.
You do, yes. Do that rather than the movie, because at least they have some quality.
The TV movie's good.
And I thoroughly enjoy the TV movie.
Night of the Doctor is probably also available somewhere.
Oh yeah, watch that. That's actually
which is quality.
That's good quality, Paul McGann. That's good.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your starting point. Hopefully, you think they're all bangers. If not, send your complaints to @DrDisco63. Right. Anyway, moving on. Now it's time for John versus Owen. Now, we've been told that Owen's not actually seen the story before recording this, so he's put himself at a fucking disadvantage because
I have.
There's no way to get this answer correct. Literally, unless he's got a minor miracle. And so here we go. So my question is, who is the owner and runner of the science meeting that they are trying to organise?
Oh,
go on, Owen.
Is it George Stevenson?
No, George. That's incorrect. Incorrect. Stevenson is attending, but that is
Okay.
the floor goes to John.
I wouldn't have a clue. I know it's Professor something or other, but
it's Lord Ravensworth.
Oh, of course it is.
Okay.
That would be what I was looking for. So it still remains 1-0 in John versus Owen. Oh. Of course, the winner of that series will be able to change the other person's Twitter bio, picture, whatever they want to do.
I think it should be picture rather than bio, because you know, if you change your sort of @ on Twitter now, you've got to re-authenticate it every time. So I think it should probably be picture.
Yeah, picture. Change the AVI,
or even something or the bio maybe.
No, because
I like the idea of picture.
Owen's trying to hide it because he knows if he loses to you, it's to lose something he's not going to want as his picture for an entire month.
Oh, I mean, hang on. I mean, there's rules about this, isn't there? You know, we've kind of agreed that it can't be something that's like going to lead you to you getting a load of shit. So you know, exactly. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh yeah, change your profile picture to like some absolutely infamous serial killer or something like that. You know.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to the
change your fucking profile picture to Ian Levine or something like that, you know.
Right, let's get on to the review. So the synopsis for this episode is: in the 19th century England, the Sixth Doctor and Perry find themselves facing two competing enemies. His old adversary, the Master, and a new adversary, the Rani, who is another Time Lord with a sinister plan. The local population is turning violent and unpredictable, with a major meeting brains of the Industrial Revolution due to happen in the village soon. The Doctor must work out what is exactly causing all these problems. Only the Doctor can stop the Master and the Rani's evil plans. So this was airing on BBC One on the 2nd of February and the 9th of February in 1985. So there we go, guys. And I also have to say as well, I did realise that season 22 is the first season of Doctor Who where I've seen every single story. So
yours truly, this was actually yours truly's very first season of Doctor Who. So I would have sat and watched this, eating me burgers and chips on a Saturday night as a little 7-year-old.
Oh, go on. Owen would again have been like 42 by this point, but
you know, stop doing that at home, people. I was 7.
9 years before I was born.
16 before me. Anyway, right, yeah. So this is my first time watching this one. This was only on season 22 that I hadn't seen. So I don't know if you want to go first or last in terms of opinions.
I'm happy to jump in.
Go on, John.
This is one where I always kind of forget how much I actually enjoy it, and then I watch it and I enjoy it, and then I immediately forget how much I enjoy it. There's a lot. I mean, okay, there's a few bits to take the piss off in here. You know, Perry's costume is laughable. But generally speaking, this is actually a really fun story. You know, you've got two very good sort of guest leads in Anthony Ainley and Kate O'Mara, who kind of bounce off each other very well. Some of the insults and interplay between them is just really, really good. I really actually like the pseudo-historical setting of it. Sometimes with a pseudo-historical setting, it feels like they don't actually use that time in history very well. I think that this does. I think it actually uses the Industrial Revolution and the Luddites as part of the story very well here. And there's for two sort of 45-minute episodes, there's quite a lot going on. And some of it's quite sort of grim as well. Some of it's quite grisly, like, you know, the idea of people being fucking turned into trees and stuff like that's sort of scary. So yeah, I think it's when people talk about season 27, they talk about Varos and they talk about Revelation, and they talk about Attack of the Cybermen and stuff, but they don't often talk about this, and it's just a really solid, nice little story. And I think the fact that we didn't get many reviews on it probably shows that a lot of people are in the same position where actually they don't really remember it very well. But there's a lot to like.
You
know, it also contains, you know, frequent references to Toby jugs and beer, which is It's never a bad thing. Oh, I'm so tired I can hardly lift a Toby.
I completely agree with you when you say about it. It's one of those stories where, I mean, you kind of forget, what it's about, and then you rewatch it. Oh yeah, I like it, and then you kind of forget, and then you rewatch it. Oh yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've done that myself, and when the season 22 box set came out, and I was like, oh, actually, yeah, I really, really like this. And
There's
then
not like a memorable visual or a memorable monster in it. I think it's quite
exactly, yeah. So I'd say, I mean, it's a good story, but it's not one of those that hugely stands out amongst others. And I think, where was I going to go with this? Watching some of the sort of the commentaries, and also like the behind the sofas, and when they're talking about it, you do realize how sort of like dark this season is with season 22, including with this one. So yeah, with the the experiments and the Luddites, going around, viciously attacking people. And then also, like, I mean, the stunts are quite real because Colin decided to do his own stunts when they tried to, basically shove him down a well, and he's dangling onto the chains, and I think he ended up actually breaking his finger or something like that. So fair play to Colin, trying to do his own stunt. I don't know if he ever did his stunts again after that. But yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoyed the story. And who knows how long until it takes for me to forget what it's all about until I rewatch it. Go, oh yeah, I really like this one.
Sometimes that's the best way, though. When a story,
Yeah.
it's nice when a story can surprise you. Even if you've seen it a few times.
Right,
Yeah,
lads,
exactly.
I'm really sorry, but this episode is so dull. It's
Oh,
so
here we go.
boring. It's so
It's one of
boring.
these kingdom
No.
opinions.
Like, listen to me, right? This might be my least favorite episode we've watched to review, or whilst watching it, because I found it so dull. And I mean, I preferred watching the Twin Dilemma. I preferred watching Time Flight because even though they are worse, they are not dull. This was so boring.
Would you
And
still consider it worse than Time Lash?
then, in terms of watching, I think it's a better story, but I think it's more boring.
What about Kinder? How would you do it,
Kinder boils my blood, so I actually would rather watch this than Kinder. But yeah, no, this was bad. Like, I feel
But it's not totally the worst.
I'm gutted saying that as well. But nothing happens for like 45. Part one, they're just talking and talking, and nothing's happening. And at the end, you kind of get the plot, and it's basically that the Mara's a bit of a vegetarian. She's like, "Oh no, they kill animals, so I'm going to make more trees on the planet." All right.
Did you just refer to? And I know you did. So no point not. Did you just refer to Kate O'Mara's character, the Rani, as the Mara, who was the baddie in Kinder?
Completely different baddie.
No, sorry, yeah, the Rani. She's like,
not a big snake.
Yeah, so yeah, I would have
You confused Kate O'Mara with a giant fucking snake.
Yeah, sorry about that one, love. Yeah, no, I thought it was really boring. I don't like saying that because it wasn't like bad like a Time Flight or a Kinder or something like that. Yeah, I was really bored, like really, and I don't like being bored when watching Doctor Who. And one thing I will say before, Colin Baker's giving it is absolutely everything in this. Like, he's doing so well, given the fact the episode is so
he does in all his
bloody dull.
Performances.
Yeah, Colin very much has the Pertwee thing, where even if he's given bad material, he gives it everything. There are other doctors that I won't name for fear of being attacked, Tom Baker, who at times are just phoning it in.
Yeah.
Colin never does that. In
No.
the same way that Pertwee never does. Colin never does that.
So yeah, I'm really sorry, guys. I wanted to be part of this joyful. Oh, it's actually better than potentially, people give it credit for. But no, unfortunately, I do sort of the fence. So it's just a bit dull. And I don't like saying that because every time I watch something, I do actively look for things to enjoy. I don't, like I said, I don't think it's outright a bad story. I'm going to say that right now. I didn't find it very engaging. I thought the plot was a bit confusing. I found the turning into trees thing. Johnny said it was dark. I thought it was laughable. Didn't think that come off really well. I didn't think that Ainley and Mara had good chemistry together at all, which I know might get me under some fire. But every time they're in a scene together, I just got annoyed. It just didn't do much for me. This one. I don't.
It's probably a good job that Anthony Ainley's no longer with us, because were he to hear that review, you'd be getting a very snotty letter, young man.
Oh dear. Anyway,
this is. I mean, I won't name the reviewer to spare their blushes, but this is the story which resulted in Ainley writing a very snotty letter to DWM after their review of it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I do feel bad, but maybe I was a bit harsh at the beginning. But yeah, I always like going into a classic Who story where I didn't know the public perception, which for this one I didn't remember it finishing up poll. I didn't look. You guys didn't tell me what you really thought about it beforehand, so I literally went in with no idea what anyone really thought. I just kind of went in and went, oh, this could be anything. I was there and I was like, these accents are hilarious. I've also put as well best shovel acting, because when they're having a fight with shovels at the start, it's incredible. They lightly tap each other on the back. It's fantastic. It's quality. But yeah, no, I thought what I will say is really good. I like the set design of the Rani's TARDIS, but after that, I'm struggling to come up with really good things about the story, which it's a shame. Sorry.
We would all love to fly around with the Rani. Let's face it.
Did we see the Rani's TARDIS again in Time in the Rani, or was that it?
I can't remember. If it reappears, it's not this design.
I don't ever remember seeing it.
I'm not sure we do, to be honest.
Also,
it's
as well,
because it's a great set.
Another funny thing I found: there was one point where a man was dead. They were looking for a dead man's body, and the actor was just blinking. So that was really hilarious. Like, put some effort into it, mate. You would be dead, and he's just there, like blinking a lot as well. Like, not even like normally. He's like heavily blinking, so it's very confusing. I thought it has the funniest cliffhanger of all time. It's just kind of he starts falling down the hill. It's really funny.
The funniest cliffhanger of all time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could add the Benny Hill theme to it.
The funniest cliffhanger of all time.
Yep.
Funnier than Stop, Don't Move.
Oh, the floor.
What's that from?
A Death to the Daleks.
Oh, yeah, no, this is funnier because it's so much more longer prolonged. This like goes on for 45 seconds. And it just and then you just see him well at the end. It's like, ah. Yeah, no, I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, no. They also kill a dog in this. That's Ainley is the worst mastered fact. He just kills a dog straight up at part one. Don't do it. And maybe it's because it's too soon for me. But I was really annoyed at Ainley for that. Don't kill a dog, mate. He's just a bit.
Laughing at that. I'm just laughing at the fact that one of the times that you said Ainley there, you pronounced it as anally.
Done for today. Thank you guys very much for listening to today's podcast. Clearly, I'm not in the right mind. I've said that Mara is the Mara. I've called him Anthony anally. May as well just go home and pack up now, boys. But yeah, no, as well, I think this one struggles to give Perry anything to do. She just moans all the time. That's not a slight on Nicola Bryan. It's just
that's a fair criticism. She is a bit selfish here.
She just sulks all the time. It's like, doctor, where am I pulling this bed? It's like, what the shut up. Like, it's like, She doesn't. There's one point. There's one point where her accent slips, which I found very funny. What did you just say? Well, clearly John's reacting to you saying something because
no, I was reacting to you going on your little incel anti-woman rant.
No, I'm not fuck off.
I said it's not a bad impression.
I'm not anti-woman. Just give the female companion something to do. Writers who've written it 30 years ago, change them. Give them something to do. No, this one she just had nothing to do, bless her, and she's kind of moping around, and then she gets attacked by a tree at the end, and she has to skip over a mine.
I mean, I would bear in mind that is essentially a description of Yaz Khan for series 11 and 12.
Don't disagree. Don't disagree.
Yeah, she comes into her own after that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought she was really moany. The accents are terrible, but that's brilliant. They were awful. Yeah, again, it's just one of those episodes that's not left a lasting effect on me. I thought the Rani. I don't get why everyone wants the Rani to come back. I think she's just a shitter version of the Master, to be honest. Really, there's no difference in the character. John, you can give me that stare all you like, but I've heard Time and the Rani's not much better, so I don't really know what's going to sell me on the character.
Oh, it's not better; it's worse.
Well, then what? Why? All right, then.
Because the Rani is distinctly a different character to the Master, whereas the Master's this kind of Machiavellian evil. The Rani is essentially a stereotypical mad scientist. You know, they take very different approaches to things. Even if you watch the scenes with Kate O'Mara and Antonioni in this, the Rani takes a very logical, scientific approach to things, whereas the Master's always like, let's just fuck up some shit.
Yeah, I just find the Master more of an interesting character, to be honest. But yeah,
I think that's quite ironic given your screen name.
No, they can't see that.
Yeah, I can.
You can. Yeah, I noticed as well. It's one of those that you don't stick in the memory because there's not that like a memorable villain with it in terms of like visually. I think it was lacking that a little bit, which I know is like some people ask for differences, and this is different. But I don't know. I just thought this was lacking. Turning into trees. All right, cool. I guess like you could go, oh, the thought of that is quite terrifying, but actually the execution isn't very well done in my opinion. Again, vis-a-vis Perry at the end, just being stuck against a tree with no visual look of her being stuck against the tree whatsoever. She's like, I'm stuck. And then the Rani has to trundle down and go, come on, skip over. Yeah. I liked the end with the dinosaur thingy. That was fun. That's about it. I'm really sorry, guys. It's just, this one just wasn't for me. That's all. I'm trying to be as fair as I can. I'm not trying to say expletives, but it just wasn't for me. To be honest, I thought the location work was nice. There you go. I thought like the actual setting was quite interesting. Okay. Actually, I'll give it that. Like, there's a nice village thing. Also, a line. Do you have? Are you on the list? And he goes, "My dear, I'm a VIP." Oh, that was very good from him in the first part. But yeah, that gave me a little smile. But yeah, like I said, this is not the best quality. This is maybe my second least favorite of the season, except for Time Lash, because that is atrocious. And the other four I actually quite like. So there you go. But this is the first ever season I've completed of Classic Who ever, which I know is weird because I don't have their own box sets, but I can't like leaving them for the reviews. I think that's kind of a fun element. Some of these classic ones. It's my first time watching them. I know that will take ages, but I've watched the bonus features and all of them, just not the actual episodes. I like the documentaries. There you go. But lads, is there any kind of comments that you guys want to make about some of the stuff I've said, or disagreements or anything like that? Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those stories, isn't it?
I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. I mean, it's incorrect. Exactly, yeah. You're entitled to it.
But I mean, that's what the podcast is obviously all about. You know, we all have our own opinions, and you know, the listeners who are listening, you know, they all have their opinions, and you know, even though anyone hasn't, you know, actually given any, you know, reviews back, you know, if you were, you know, too shy to, you know, say, you know, you didn't like it, then, you know, fair enough. But, you know, if you don't like it, just say, because, you know, everyone's entitled to opinion at the end of the day.
Yeah,
you say that. I mean, we have had a couple of reviews. Richard said Kate O'Mara face with heart-shaped eyes.
Yeah.
And Oshan sent us a gif of a dancing fucking Cyberman.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
I saw that, but I didn't see Richard's.
Richard put it in the chat, and then I think Connor put a fart sound effect in our group chat.
Well, yeah, I thought that best not to.
Yeah, so that's his thought. But yeah, echo what Owen said. If you guys like, or maybe you guys haven't seen it, because I know a lot of our audience are more new series based, so it's a lot easier for those guys to get the reviews. And
yeah, don't worry about your reviews, your opinions being negative about a story. You know, unless it's a Pertwee story, in which case I will own your ass.
Don't worry, me and Owen
we will judge you.
We'll keep me and Owen will keep John back. We'll keep him back. Don't worry, he won't get any physical harm.
But I mean, they can keep me back, but.
Well, no, I mean, when it comes to the third Doctor, you've got me to contend with as well.
I will still calmly and scientifically dissect your opinion and explain exactly why it's wrong.
Yeah,
as I've done with others in the past.
Yes, so I think, really, I think the concept of this one. I think this one's based on its concept and how much you really get into people turning into trees, how it's that and that kind of ideal, because I didn't buy that for me, and that's kind of the basis.
You know, obviously this is a Pip and Jane Baker story. Is this a Pip and Jane Baker story that led to the Chibnall clip, or was that a different one?
I thought that was the Trial of Time Lord thing, wasn't it?
It could have been, yeah. That's why I'm asking, because I know that was a Pip and Jane Baker story that he was responding to, but it could have been Trial of a Time Lord.
Is that the only ones they've done? So they do the whole.
No, they've done more than this.
Do they do the whole Trial of Time Lord, just Ultimate first?
No, I've done what looking it up. I was just curious.
But yeah, I didn't. I thought the actors as well, like, you know, when they're like meant to be like savages and they're turning evil. I didn't think. I've said sometimes Classic Who can be, even one who can be a dodgy actor. I just didn't ever buy them when they were meant to be really angry. And bless that poor boy who gets hypnotized in the second part, because his acting when he becomes hypnotized is dog shit. Bless him, but he's just not very good. He's like, we should go and get some herbs. I recommend these. And then he turns into a fucking.
And joining us on the Timeless podcast tonight, here he is.
Yes, he's here. Just no. I mean, that Stevenson guy who they build up to as well doesn't really have much impact on the story in the end. Like in the first part, they're bigging up to him being like this really important guy. And you think, he's going to have a really important. He saves the Doctor at the second part and sort of sits around for the rest of it.
I mean, it is still George Stevenson either way, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know who that was before this, so I didn't do history in secondary school at all. I've never studied history at school.
You've never heard of Stevenson's rocket?
No, I'm not. Wow. I always got to.
Spoiler, it's not actually a rocket; it's a train.
There you go. Oh, did he make the? Oh, there you go.
I mean,
it's an engineer. He made loads of railways and trains and stuff.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, see, I generally have never taken a history class in my life, so I know a few bits, but then when people are like, "Do you not know this?" I'm like, "Not a clue." Okay. Never heard of it. So yeah, it's interesting. But let's do scores on the doors, guys. I'll go first this week. I rarely go first. I'm going to give it a 3.5. Like
we usually would do it out of 10.
Yeah, so I'm going at 3.5 out of 10.
Oh, 3.5 out of 10.
Yeah, so it's like a 3, but I didn't want to be that low, so I gave it 0.5. My initial score was 2.5, but I've spoken to you guys and you've popped it up one by having a chat and dissecting it a bit more. But yeah, 3.5. I don't think I'm ever going to watch this again, ever. To be honest,
I'll give it. I don't know what I rated it before. I've never.
Owen hasn't seen it in
before, but
since the box set came out.
I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10.
That's not bad. What did you give it before? I can tell you, Owen. Well, it's gone up by 2.5 because you gave it a 4. So
okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, I've watched it again since then. So yeah, obviously, it's definitely gone up in my estimations since.
I was going to give it a 6, but having heard Kingdom score, I'm going to give it a 7.
All right, so that's gone up by 1, John, because you did give it a 6
show it some
last
love.
time. You did give it a 6 last time.
It's in need of some much needed love.
It is, just not from me. Righty then. Are we all ready for 2 weeks' times?
Oh yes.
Episode. This is not new, everyone, so get excited. Host is not enabled screen sharing. So for the second, we have technical difficulties here at Thomas Podcast HQ. I will remind you. I'll tell Owen now. Think about your Who Shop product. So when I ask you in about 5 minutes, you got it in your head. Don't reveal it now, but just make sure you got it in your head.
Okay.
So
yeah, sure.
Just interesting. And then once we're good to go,
you are.
There we are. So you can see this, yep. So it says Mark of the
Yes.
Rani because it's a great website. It saves. So just a reminder that Capaldi, Tennant, and Whitaker and Eccleston are involved in this, but not Matt Smith. So what episode are we going to get this time?
Let's get a Whitaker one. Oh, okay.
Capaldi. Yeah. I can move it because we did a Capaldi one recently. We've not done Eccleston or Whitaker.
We've not done a Whitaker in a long time.
I will remove Capaldi. I'll keep Eccleston and Whitaker in play. All right, let's try it again.
Oh God!
Yes.
You've done that to yourself.
Yes.
We always know that we should never double click. It never works.
Oh, well, get your caps locks ready.
And just to be interesting, I was to click it again. It's going to be on 55, but I'm just for interested sake.
Hold on to your hats, ladies.
It wouldn't have been any better. It wouldn't have been.
I mean, to be fair, we did all right to stop where we did.
There we go, guys. So join us in 2 weeks' time for Awful 55.
Yeah, we love Awful 55.
Orphan,
sorry.
Orphan. It's gonna be fun.
I actually quite like it, so this could get interesting.
You would.
Yeah, I would, Owen, because I actually, I enjoy the Mon series with its HD. I know you can't comprehend high definition, but
Edie, can you please not?
Yeah, they use the HD so well on those dregs.
Yeah, the dregs. Oh, Edie, what do you think of 155? You fan? Even though I don't think you were born when it came out, but still. It's shit. Oh, there's Edie's route.
I'll tell you what, I fucking wish I wasn't born when it came out.
All right, we'll do this next week, guys. But until then, you can follow John at JohnBoy_Cook. He's got it right this week. I know I have.
Yay.
You can follow Owen at Dr. Disco63, but you can also check out the Who Shop. Owen, what are we recommending this week?
What I'll be recommending is that we've got a couple of signings coming up. I don't know if I mentioned this first one. So it's the 11th of November with Simon Gurrier signing copies of the David Whitaker book, which has been written, manufactured,
published,
whatever, but published. Thank you very much. Exactly the word I'm looking for, by 10 Acre Films. And then I think you might have heard it here first, actually, but we're probably posting out on our social media, so you might have seen it on Shop social media. We've got Sophia Miles on Saturday, the 9th of December, signing photographs and any personals in stores. So do pop down and see Sophia, who played Madame de Pompadour.
That'd be nice.
Also, just go to the Who.co anyway, because that's what I do. Just pop in and like, hello, Owen, mate, you're right.
That'd be lovely.
And of course, you can follow myself at @AlexKing_Dob. Follow the podcast at the Tavis Pod if you guys want to get your voices heard for next review. Orphan 55. I'm expecting some interesting replies, let's say, to that one. And of course, you can check out the YouTube channel as well, or you can check out the audio. All that is in the link tree down in the description down below. Until next one, guys, thank you all for listening. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Goodbye.
Good night. God bless. Don't have nightmares. Do sleep well.